What's up, everybody? We got the penultimate episode for Daredevil Born Again Season 1 last night, and Matt Murdock continues to be the most tortured man in the MCU. Let's dive in. Episode 8 opens with Dex as he watches another prisoner out in the courtyard picking a blue rose. Essentially, he's been condemned, at least he was condemned, to sit there and look out at what is unattainable to him, hence the blue rose. But then he gets thrown in Gen Pop, and you just had to know his escape was imminent. He doesn't do that just yet, though, because we gotta go over and check in on Fisk. He brings Vanessa out to the docks as he continues to try and repair their relationship while also confirming they did in fact set Luca up last week, and this psycho brings her to Adam. But it turns out that Vanessa is the psycho as she pops Adam after another man-baby moment for little Mr. Mayor. At the same time, and jokes aside, he sends Buck over to Matt's apartment to give Heather an invite to his gala. Once again, they parallel the two sides of our story, Kingpin and Matt, but at its core, this play was a mind game to discombobulate Matt and try and force him to slip up so the task force can go in and take down the devil. But he could also just be trying to cause unlimited chaos for Matt Murdock in New York City even, because we learned he was the one who had Dex move to Gen Pop, and on top of that, Dex now wants to see Matt, which, like she did with Luca, I think Vanessa might have told him to take out her husband, Fisk, after he escaped, but he, despite Fisk breaking his back, probably didn't want to kill the man that he admired so much in Season 3. However, it does feel more plausible that he was just pissed about being locked up after Vanessa had hired him, especially if Foggy isn't really dead and he knows that, and so he went to get revenge on Vanessa. Regardless, I'm even more concerned for Daniel Blake, with Dex in the back of my mind, thinking back to Season 3 and what Fisk did to him when he failed, as this promotion feels like the setup for his demise, which it makes even more sense considering Fisk is doing the same thing to Matt right now. These are Kingpin type moves. I mean, between Fisk, Bullseye, his failing relationship with Heather, the Foggy guilt, his bullshit system failing him, hell, it's just his Catholic guilt, but it's overflowing right now, and he doesn't really have anyone to figure his shit out with because it all starts and ends with the devil. Then he decides to torture himself a bit and go back to the spot where he lost his oldest friend. Now, I think you could say this ends up being a win for Matt as he realizes the Foggy case is not closed and there was more to it, but to me, that's only going to add to his guilt, especially if Foggy isn't alive and all the theories are wrong, and I think Cherry knows that too. So with that new knowledge, Matt goes to see Dex, and this scene was amazing. Charlie and Wilson are so great together on screen, and the oh sweetheart banter had me crying. But even when Matt wins, when he gets to let that anger out and do his therapy, it usually ends up coming with a cost, and this time it was knocking Dex's tooth loose, because that's all he needs, and he knows it as he thanks Matt. After that, Mr. Murdock finally makes his way to the gala, yet he remains absent at the same time like Heather says. Now, she might not know why, at least not yet, but I do. As much as Matt loves her, and as much as he doesn't want to lose her, he couldn't help himself, especially right now with everything going on, from going there for the sake of Daredevil instead of her. However, the part I found interesting and the part that sparked a theory for me actually was the task force and the police commissioner interaction. Right after Powell fries that reporter's hand, the commish speaks with BB Urich, and I think that tandem is going to lead the Punisher straight to the task force for our final battle next week. But that's not all. Going deeper than that and focusing on BB saying she doesn't always put stuff out under her own name, I think Karen Page has been working with BB the entire time to take down Fisk from the shadows, which, and this is going beyond the nerdy curtains here, but she wasn't back for the original version of Born Again. She only came back when the new team came on, and so I think that's how this new team got her in there. And if I'm right, I think she'll make an epic return next week, and it'll also be the reason for her new look in Season 2. Regardless, we're going into the finale with the city on fire as Matt is done with Fisk and goes to confront him, only for Vanessa to step in while Dex arrives at the party. While they dance, Matt is listening and Wilson knows it, so he taunts him, and I love this. I thought it was a brilliant way and a new, fresh way to show their rivalry and Fisk's viciousness. But at the same time, I'm not sure Vanessa knew he was listening because she was about to admit to hiring Bullseye when Matt steals her away because he'd heard enough. Now, I don't want to keep bashing the same point in for you guys, but her not finishing her sentence either time during this song with Matt or with Wilson definitely makes it feel like he's still alive. Foggy, that is, and that they're adapting The Secret Life of Foggy, where she did the same thing to get revenge on both Daredevil and her husband, and I think that makes a lot of sense considering the Daredevil Season 3 finale. But despite what he's just learned and all the history he has with Kingpin through 4 seasons of the show, Matt still takes a bullet for him, and Dario Scardapain, along with the rest of the new team, on this show cooked so hard. It goes straight back to their conversation earlier, Bullseye's that is, because Bullseye knows Matt would never let his greatest enemy die, he would have to save him. But I think when Dex said that in prison, he thought he was said enemy, not Fisk, and it will always be Fisk. Overall, I thought that was another good episode for the show, as Benson and Moorhead's direction is simply brilliant once again. But I gotta be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of the cliffhanger because there's no suspense for me. He's not gonna die, and you know the devil is gonna go out injured, but I do think it'll make for some fun dialogue and banter between him and Frank Castle in the finale. It's just, I think my mixed feelings come from me feeling like this is kind of unneeded motivation for Matt Murdock, that's all. And so that's going to do it for my episode 8 breakdown. Despite the cliffhanger, my boy Dex was wreaking havoc this week, and the 2 scene is pure insanity. But drop your thoughts on this week's episode down in the comments below, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so that you're always up to date with the nerdy world, and make sure you have a great day.